Okay, let's get this show on the road. Welcome to the Future of Customer Experience webinar as part of TrendWatching Quarterly. My name is Maxwell Luthy. I'm the Director of Trends and Insights here at TrendWatching, and I'm beaming to you around the world from our New York office. Before we go any further, I'd like to say a huge thank you to the TrendWatching family of writers, analysts, designers, proofreaders, marketers, CS, Dev Beyond, our spotters around the world, everybody who contributed to this massive report. We can't do it without you. And I want to thank, even more, I want to thank you all for taking the time to tune in today. As is the theme of this report, I know how precious your attention is. So let's get going. But a quick reminder, you still have access to the first issue of TrendWatching Quarterly, Truthful Consumerism, the future of consumerism in a world of polarization, populism, and post-truth. You can still find my colleague David Matten's delightful webinar on the topic on YouTube on this same channel. So go check that out if you want to make this a double bill matinee of trend theory. And you can also read the full report. And I'll probably take about 45 minutes today just to give you a heads up. If you need to run, don't worry, we'll send you the recording and you can jump in where you left off. But of course, I'd love it if you joined us all the way to the end. So let's get going. We are halfway through 2017, which is terrifying for a trend analyst because it means we need to start thinking about the 2018 trend report. But boy, has it been one exciting year. At this very moment, you have shoppers in Sweden, shoppers in Beijing, shoppers in Seattle experimenting with checkout-free retail. At this very moment, you have a driver stuck in traffic in LA, bumper to bumper, and they are making use of the Toyota Prius's adaptive cruise control so they can pay close attention to their mindfulness podcast. Of course, the irony is lost on them. Perhaps some of you are stuck in traffic while tuned in to this webinar. If so, thanks for joining. Keep your eyes on the road, please. At the same time this year, we've seen wild and crazy Instagram-friendly foods like the unicorn frappuccino go toe-to-toe with the goth latte to try and earn their space in your social feed. Meanwhile, the avocado latte wishes we could all just get along. Now, of course, that turned out to be a hoax, but these are all evidence of the 21st century customer experience wars, where shots are fired from Miami to Madrid every second. And I don't need to tell you, I'm sure you guys are all in this majority here of 86% of business leaders who recognize how important customer experience is when it comes to success. And of course, you know, a deep understanding of customer experience is vital for avoiding failure, for avoiding becoming tomorrow's meme bait, as United reminded us all earlier this year. That was only a couple of months ago, and United are hoping we've all moved on by now. So in a hyper-competitive experience economy, where people are battling for wild and crazy, edifying experiences, at the same time that they are super connected, yet extremely impatient, what are the rules of engagement? How can you survive in the 21st century customer experience wars? Well, we thought rules, plural, was going to be too complicated for you guys, so we boiled it down. Sorry, I mean, not too complicated for you, but we could be even better than that. You guys are plenty smart, but we boiled it down to one question, one fundamental question at any particular moment. When you're thinking about your customer experience strategy, you must decide if your brand's offering is a stepping stone on the way to experiences, or if you're providing the experience itself. You know, are you the vehicle or are you the destination? To make it even clearer, at every encounter, you must ask whether you are saving the customer's attention or seizing it and hanging on for dear life. Now, your answer will change over the course of the customer journey. There will be a handful of brands out there who are going to save at every touch point or seize attention at every touch point. But for most of you, you're going to be going back and forth between these two roles. So it's important to see examples from both sides. Now, we've been busy at TrendWatching. Those of you who are loyal subscribers, regular readers will know our methodology is all about, rather than surveying customers around the world and saying, hey, what do you think the future of customer experience is? We don't go about it that way. We look for the best-in-class innovations all over the world with the help of our spotter network. Thank you, spotters. And we look and interrogate those innovations and say, how are they going to change expectations around the customer experience, and what shape will they take when they come banging on your door, and how can we help you, our readers and our clients, respond to these emerging expectations. Now, I will go quite quickly in this webinar. I said it'll be about 45 minutes. There's a lot of information in it. Remember, you can download the full report for free, and of course, premium clients, you have access to even more on the topic. So this is supposed to be the speedy version of the report. So let's dive into attention saving, first of all. So understanding that the customer's attention is precious, you have competitors from within and outside of your industry working, all night long at this very moment, thinking of how they can make incremental and wholesale improvements in saving your customers' attention. Attention saving initiatives are often automated, data-powered, seamless, and happily forgotten. And what do I mean by happily forgotten? Look, it's harsh, but the truth is you're only going to delight someone with an attention-saving initiative the first time they experience it. They then immediately expect it. Think of oxygen. The customer doesn't walk around thinking how grateful they are for oxygen, but if it breaks, if it gets taken away, they're going to be pretty irritated. Maybe then they'll notice it. So why is this more urgent than ever before? Some of you might be thinking, well, convenience, and seamlessness and time saving has always been part of customer experience. And I fully agree with you, but it has become more urgent than ever before on account of three major drivers. First of all, we are in the midst of the on-demand decade. You can get everything from nachos to narcos to real narcotics on demand. Check out the Netflix subscriber growth here. Of course, they've only recently begun, ruthless expanding internationally, and they hit 100 million subscribers earlier this year. You can get entertainment on demand. We've seen, of course, the boom in taxi sharing around the world, taxis on demand. China's Didi, an executive there, announced that in 6 months they made the leap from being able to deliver 10 million rides per day to 20 million rides per day. So around the world, in markets around the world, customers are growing accustomed to being able to get things as and when they need them, on demand, in a nutshell, and that means they don't have to waste any precious attention waiting around for them. You can get everything on demand, not this Academy Award-winning actor, but the undergarments he is wearing here, thanks to the Calvin Klein Amazon Dash button that launched just a couple of weeks ago. Another driver of attention-saving expectations is, huge improvements in voice recognition and natural language processing. So we've made the leap from Clippy to Alexa, from complex and clunky to casual yet highly effective. And from a recent JWT survey called Speak Easy, they found that 76% of regular voice users say using voice technology feels really natural. So that's a massive shift. And of course, we saw Apple launch the HomePod at the Worldwide Developer Conference just a couple weeks ago, and you have Google Home too. So a third driver is, in a nutshell, because this is a little bit complicated to read out, essentially, it's cool to be busy. In a service economy where, essentially your intellect, shows how helpful you are, how in demand you are, being too busy to do anything is a status symbol, hence the juicero, hence productivity apps. It's cool to be busy. It's cool to be seen using time-saving products. I hate to use the word cool, but it is that simple. It's status in busyness. Okay, so those are our three drivers. And of course, we're not just going to leave you there going, okay, well, how do I survive? We're going to hit you up with 3 attention-saving strategies for the future of customer experience. And our first attention-saving strategy is thinking outsourced. The customer is desperate to outsource their precious attention, their thinking from the activities that, to put it in plain English, they don't like wasting time thinking about. What do I mean by that? Well, how about all the time you waste picking out an outfit? in April this year, and of course Amazon always launched their wackiest products in April that turn out to redefine expectations. See the Amazon Dash button before this, but they announced the Echo Look, a new member of the Echo ecosystem, which has a camera embedded into it. You can take a hands-free selfie of your outfit, then change outfits, and then ask Alexa to help you choose between those two outfits. So this is a service that allows you to outsource that kind of decision making. So go check that out online if you want to figure out how it works. Why is it Amazon keep doing initiatives like this? Well, just a pro tip from Jeff Bezos' shareholder letter earlier this year. He believes the customer is always beautifully, wonderfully dissatisfied, even when they report being happy and business is great. Even when they don't know it yet, customers want something better. I should have changed his title there from Destroyer of Worlds to Eater of Worlds, or Eater of Whole Foods. I'm sure some of you saw the $13.7 billion purchase they just made of Whole Foods, or they just announced today. So yes, Amazon is ruthless. We could have filled this whole report with examples of Amazon changing your customers' expectations related to the customer experience. Another thing consumers want to outsource is worrying about their savings. You know, the modern consumer doesn't want to have to think about this. They want to be able to outsource this kind of decision making to a higher power. And Digit, which I'm sure many of you remember when it was launched a couple of years ago, is a fintech startup that uses an algorithm to work out how much money you have coming in, how much money you have going out, and it will make precise, you know, small or massive movements of money from your checkings account to your savings account. And this is not, you know, a niche service. They announced in March that they'd saved over $500 million for their users. What else would we like to, you know, outsource? Well, say you're a Lamborghini owner and you're cruising down the strip in Dubai. You don't want to be worrying about, you know, whether or not the hot sun is going to damage your tires and how they're coping. You want to just focus on the drive and the looks that you're getting. So Pirelli created the Pirelli Kinesso smart tire, which essentially is a connected system where the tire monitors its own wear and tear, the temperature, the miles it's had put on it, and then can even book you an appointment with a nearby mechanic when it's due for replacement. So you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on enjoying your supercar. Will the customer even outsource their you know, ethical decisions? Well, of course. And I'm not sure if Nudge for Change is going to really take off, but it's certainly an interesting example of businesses that will change expectations, because we've seen similar initiatives before. And essentially what this does is it allows you to put in your preferences related to the environment, you know, the concerns you have, be they women's rights, LGBT rights, racial equality, and so on. And then it uses your location to nudge you away from businesses that clash with your moral compass and make recommendations for better options nearby. So consumers are willing to outsource all kinds of moments if it frees up their attention to spend it on the things they really care about. We're now ready for our second attention-saving strategy: shortening the customer journey. Whether it's incrementally or wholesale, taking out moments in the customer journey. And this might be someone from within your industry or from outside it. It might be some savvy entrepreneur. So let's take a look at customer journeys being shortened. First of all, we have this great partnership from the Swedish supermarket ICA, the delivery company PostNord, and the smart lock startup Glue. Last year, they launched a pilot project where groceries could be delivered directly to customers' fridges. So you order online, and rather than having your ice cream melt and your yogurt go off in the hot sun while it waits by your doorfront, or having to be home when the delivery guy gets there, they can let themselves in using a smartphone code and then put the groceries away in your fridge. So you can see when you add, you know, auto replenishment services like the Dash replenishment service, when you have the majority of consumers being receptive to goods being automatically reordered, you can see essentially the loop, the whole loop of the traditional retail customer journey is just going to be taken away from the customer. They will barely be involved. your devices will recognize they're running low on printer ink, and the printer ink will be installed in your printer without you even being home to greet the delivery guy. So what does that mean for you when essentially the customer journey you've been trying to refine has been taken out of the customer's hands? How does that impact your business? Pretty exciting stuff. Another example, and this hit home for me, this is from every hipster's favorite eyewear brand. Of course, they've become a little too popular at this point, but Warby Parker announced a vision test app that lets you check and update your prescriptions remotely. Why did this hit home for me? Well, I have an optician in Soho, New York, who keeps texting me with this automated booking system. They say, look, you really need to get your eyes checked. We've booked you an appointment. Just say yes, text back yes, and come in on this time or day. Or say no and reschedule. But just all you have to do is respond with a text, and that is a step too far for me. I've been too busy working on this report, so I am pretty much blind in my left eye as I'm doing this webinar. So if I was a Warby Parker customer, I could have already have updated my prescription online. Okay, another way to shorten the customer journey: get rid of those pesky humans who get in the way, make mistakes, drop your groceries, and all kinds of problems. So Bingo Box is a staff-free convenience store that has opened in various places around China. It's essentially, it's leveraging the WeChat ecosystem that, of course, every consumer there is using WeChat as a sort of universal remote. So you can go in there and scan QR codes as you pick up products and pay through WeChat and walk out without some attention-hogging human getting in your way. Okay. On to our third strategy, eradicating pain points. Again, this is an interesting strategy because we see businesses removing pain points in their customer journey, but we also see innovators, eradicating pain points outside of the traditional customer journey. So let's take a quick look at that. First up, we have L'Oreal. In Canada, the beauty brand developed a Facebook Messenger bot that actually is helpful. So we've seen quite a few useless bots, and this is a handy one because this allows you to choose the perfect gift. If you don't know anything about beauty products and you want to buy something for your girlfriend or your friend, and you also don't know anything about his or her routine, they can, this sort of Messenger bot acts as a middleman and asks you a few questions about what you're willing to spend, and then asks the friend, about their beauty routine, about their needs, and then makes a product recommendation. It eradicates the pain point of worrying about finding the right gift and the pain point of giving them the wrong gift. Okay, Qatar Airways. Here we have an initiative from an airline, along with Etihad, who responded to the recent laptop ban, of course, done for security reasons. And essentially, these airlines said, look, if you're a business class customer, don't worry about the economy people, they don't matter. But business class customers, if you are worried about not having your laptop on the flight, don't worry. We've got one for you. We'll lend you one so you can get your work done. And this isn't just eradicating that pain point, but it's also saving attention in the future, because the customer knows if I keep flying with Qatar, I don't need to waste my attention worrying about what will happen if the law changes or if there's delays, because this is the kind of company that has my back. Here we have an example from Mexico. So, mobile data is essentially, we talked about oxygen earlier. This is really the oxygen of the digital lifestyle. If the smartphone is your lens to the world and helps you increasingly do everything from pay your bills to contact your friends to get entertainment, data is really, really vital. So customers waste precious attention worrying about how much data they have left, and the decisions they make, how much data will that consume. So BBVA Bancomer had a few convos. They sat down at the table with a couple of telecom brands in the country and said, look, we'll pick up the tab for our customers' data when they're using our apps. So they don't need to worry about that. That pain point is eradicated, that attention is saved. It's a great initiative from a bank there. Okay, here we have a Brazilian example. So sticking on the continent, we have a VR experience that turns children's vaccine fears into entertainment. So how does that happen? Well, at this clinic, if a parent comes in, the child gets given a VR headset which shows them a movie which essentially distracts them, and they get an amulet placed on their arm, told they're going to save the day essentially when they get the injection, and it completely distracts them. Check out the video online. And as a parent who's had to bring in his 2 daughters to get vaccinations, it's quite upsetting when they freak out. So this is eradicating that pain point for the child and, of course, the parent too. And to be honest, probably the physician as well. So it's a win-win-win situation here. And our final example of eradicating pain points. This is a digital closet service, Finery, developed in the US, launched a couple of months ago. Essentially, it scans your e-commerce receipts for, from fashion companies like Zara or H&M, and then creates a digital closet for you, so you can see what you've purchased. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that sounds a bit like what Cher had in Clueless back in the 90s. But even Cher would be impressed with this feature. It actually alerts you to when your return date is going to expire. So you've got to get those shoes that don't fit too well. You've got to get them back by a particular date. You get a heads up. Second of all, it keeps track of price changes. So we'll file price match claims when discounts are given after you've made the purchase. So again, you're kind of outsourcing thinking and eradicating some of the traditional pain points that arise when you're a hardcore fashionista with too many products to return and too many products to keep track of. So what next in attention saving? Well, I'm not going to go through all 4 of these new directions for you during this webinar. I want you to take a look in the PDF. You can find out about going off the map, making multitasking easy, outsourcing guilt, and not being evil. That last one's simple enough. And Uber, I am talking to you. But check them out. There's more information in the full PDF and also online, so you can find out about each of those directions to take attention-saving customer experience going forward. Okay, we're ready for our attention-seizing portion. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Bear with me. So you can probably tell if you're in the game of marketing or providing experiences, it's a zoo out there. There are more and more businesses, ramping up their efforts to seize your customer's attention. And your customer is more and more precious about how they spend it, because they are masters at collecting experiences, and only the best deserve their attention. Only those that are truly one of a kind, truly personalized, truly help them with their self-improvement or connect them with other people or help them live by their values. Only the best deserve their attention, and only for the best will they go back and, continue to be customers. So why have expectations in this space ramped up higher than ever before? Because again, people have always liked being entertained and having their attention seized. Well, again, we've broken it down for you into 3 drivers. First up, we've seen the rules of engagement for brands and businesses shattered in the last 5 to 10 years. So verticals are essentially corporate artifacts from a more timid time. You have a media company like Vice brewing beer, and of course they also announced recently they're getting into the meal kit subscription game, along with another media company, the New York Times. You have a brewery like Brewdog creating a hotel. You have hotel brands like the Kimpton Hotel in Philadelphia creating capsule fashion collections, and you have fashion brands or apparel companies like Supreme creating everything from the Supreme brick to the Supreme Metro card, all in a battle to pop up in a surprising place, win new customers, and delight their current fans by sort of engaging with them in surprising ways in new formats. Our second driver is the existence of status sandcastles. Now, what does that mean? It sounds cool, but what does it mean? Well, essentially, we've heard about the experience economy, of course, how experiences are now more valuable to many consumers than products as status symbols. So they're battling to collect these experiences. And back when I was at uni, you would go to a house party, and maybe a week later you could make a Facebook album about the party, and your friends would check it out and think, oh wow, what a cool experience. And they would, in theory, didn't really work for me, but shower you with status. So as we've seen this shift towards Snapchat, founded in 2011, and you've seen the stories feature where you're continually updating the experiences you're collecting, and you see Instagram copying that, other members of the Zuckerberg empire rolling out, you know, identical stories features in the last few months of this year. It means that consumers can't just collect experiences and then post them online and live off the fat of that for a few days or a few weeks or a few months. They have to be constantly, almost in real time, collecting new experiences. And live streaming like that has poured gasoline on this experience collecting bonfire. Okay, our third driver is the rise of the connoisseur masses. So almost every customer out there will, on the whole, be trying to get the cheapest, most reliable, you know, easiest version of a product or experience. But they will also choose a few things, sometimes a lot of things, that define them, that are a key piece of their identity. So many customers will be drinking instant coffee, drip coffee, you know, using Nespresso or Keurig capsules. Well, of course, at the same time, you've seen all of those customers. You know, we've got a couple in our office who use all kinds of contraptions to grind the beans. They use an AeroPress. They take the temperature of the water. This is not the easiest, most attention-saving way to get a hot cup of coffee, but this is where they want to spend their attention. It's rewarding for them, and dare I say it, they want to be seen spending their attention on this. They're going to kill me for saying that. Likewise, how can you explain the rise of music on tap, you know, the huge success of Spotify at the same time as a resurgence in vinyl sales? Vinyl is hard to find, it's hard to store, it's fragile, it's kind of difficult to play. But, you know, I'm like many consumers out there. I like the fact that it's so time intensive. I want to spend my attention, you know, with this harder to use version of a similar experience. Okay, so we've got our three drivers. Again, let's give you three strategies. I guess we've structured this briefing, this quarterly report, around the rule of three here. So how can you survive? How can you, you know, keep ahead of attention seizing expectations? Well, first of all, you know, shock and awe still works. Let's be honest, wild pop-ups, one-of-a-kind experiences, they can still delight consumers. So let's take a look at some of the best in class of shock and awe. How about this initiative in Germany? During the rainiest month of the year, the Mexican Tourist Authority created an installation that makes it rain ... tequila. So in sync with the local weather. So when it really is raining there, a tequila cloud begins to form as the tequila evaporates, then condenses and rains. And that's a pretty unforgettable experience that you would want to tell your friends about. Hopefully they didn't use cheap tequila, otherwise it would have smelled like a frat house around that installation. Another example of shock and awe. So rather than shortening the customer journey, how about being a little counterintuitive and making it even more difficult? So to promote Air France's young person's travel card, they partnered with Adidas and Citadium. And by the way, you see a lot of partnerships in this publication to seize and save attention today. You might have to make some unholy alliances. And what did they do? Well, they said, look, mums, if you want to get your kids to visit, you got to get them this new pair of, you know, Adidas trainers. They are the dogs. Well, you know the rest of the expression. So essentially, they said, look, send the kid one of these shoes. We'll send you the other one, and we'll send them this young person's travel card so they can book a flight and come home to visit mum, essentially, to get their hands on this pair of shoes. So they've made it more difficult to get the product here, to seize attention. All right, another counterintuitive example comes from a Peruvian retailer. Typically with price, you know, you only, unless you're a luxury brand, you only want to seize attention with incredibly low prices. Well, they went for the opposite approach here. In the run up to Mother's Day, they surveyed mums around the country and said, you know, what products do you really hate receiving? So of course they said things like an iron or a mop. And I don't know what kind of maniac would give their mum a mop on Mother's Day, but they ramped up the prices. As you can see here on the slide, they ramped up the prices there to seize the shopper's attention and say, look, buy your mum something that really matters to her. And another example that caused a bit of an argument in the office, and that's always a good thing. Henry, I'm talking to you. So we have this initiative from Burger King in Spain. This is a marketing campaign from about a month or two ago, where they found a crew of elite gamers, and they said, look, during the weekends for a couple months, if you play games like Call of Duty and FIFA with these gamers through the PlayStation network, and you've registered your address with us, you can purchase your Burger King food without leaving the game. You can order it using your microphone and your headset, and we'll deliver it to your house. You'll never even have to stop playing. So this is obviously an attention-seizing initiative, but Henry's point is very much that in the future it shows ways that the customer journey will be shortened. You know, gamers, not to generalize, do like junk food, and they hate when they have to stop playing their games to take a break and eat. So it is a pretty exciting and arguably dystopian initiative. Here we have it. Check it out. It's hashtag Burger Clan. Go find the video on YouTube so you can see some of the funny subtitles like, would you like a cheese Whopper sandwich? Okay, attention seizing, round 2, self-improvement stories. We talk a lot about betterment. It's one of our mega trends here at TrendWatching. And of course, betterment is all about consumers climbing up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, getting to the top of the pyramid and saying, I want to become a better version of myself. So if you can layer self-improvement and provide the customer with a story to tell into your experience, you know, that's all the better. If you already provide self-improvement, if that's your business model, your raison d'etre, yeah, like Chroma Yoga, it's not enough just to provide a yoga class today. You have to layer on a wild experience. So they blast you with chromotherapy, which is essentially colored lighting, and binaural beats to induce a trance-like state while you do your yoga. You know, something that you can brag about on Instagram. If you really want to get into a trance-like state while you work out, check out Power Plant Fitness in San Francisco, where they encourage you to get stoned before, during, and after your workouts. Okay, another initiative, because it's not just self-improvement specialists who are layering on other experiences, it's other experience providers who are layering on self-improvement for their customers. The Met Museum in New York earlier this year hosted, it says after hours there, it was actually before it opened. You could do these curated workouts. They were about a 45-minute sort of dancing exercise tour of the gallery, followed by drinks and snacks. So that provides you with a one-of-a-kind story to tell your peers, and that, you know, feeling of self-improvement. We see self-improvement popping up in surprising places. Here you have the Cairo Transport Authority launching Comet, a 6-minute series of educational, you know, shows broadcast in Cairo subway stations that give you a historical or a cultural education on Egypt while you wait for a train. So your attention is seized, you're not bored, you're not wasting time while you wait for the trains, but you are, you know, educating yourself during those moments. And it's not just about paying lip service to self-improvement. Here we have a Canadian apparel brand, Ryu, who created this wonderful campaign that showed you they really are invested in the customer's, you know, transformation. They're not just making apparel for them to transform themselves, but if you work out so hard, you lose a ton of weight that the clothing doesn't fit you anymore, or you bulk up and get so stacked that the t-shirts or the hoodies you bought are too tight, you can bring them back and they will say, you know, they'll give you a high five and say, hey, good for you. Here's 50% off a replacement product, and we'll give that old garment to a local sports and fitness charity. So we're on to our third attention seizing and our final attention seizing category, experience theaters. Of course, in the era of digital disruption, and those of you who are retail specialists won't be surprised to hear this, you know, it's not just about the collapse of brick and mortar, it's about harnessing the power of brick and mortar to do what it does, you know, really, really well. So what does it do? Well, it's a space to bring people together. It's a space to show off your products. It's a space to give them self-improvement stories. It's a space for them to live by their values and, of course, drink great coffee. So we see all kinds of new experience theaters popping up, and not necessarily retail spaces. Our first example here comes from Hyundai Card, a credit card in South Korea, and in Seoul, they opened a dedicated cooking space. So you can go in there and you can take advantage of this. Isn't, you know, they're not messing around with this space. They have 10,000 cookbooks available there that go back to the 1960s. They have cookery magazines. They have courses and classes, a spice gallery with 200 different spices that you can sample and use during the events that they host there. So that's an experience theatre that really plays into a growing important element of people's lifestyles, you know, the culinary experience. Another initiative, this is from Mini in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint. Where else? They launched ADO, this sort of creative makerspace. So they don't even call it, you know, the Mini makerspace. It's called ADO. It's very lightly branded. The branding is really the experience they provide, and that is a hub for architects, for designers, for other creators to rent desks and use it as a co-working space. But there's also public spaces that you can come in and have a cup of coffee, browse the gift shop, and they even have guest lecturers, people like David Byrne of Talking Heads. And I was pretty disappointed when I was researching this that I missed that talk. I'm a big fan. So another example from Mini in the US, and another brand operating in the US, well, actually around the world. Apple announced that they're going to ramp up their free educational sessions at all stores. So sessions in coding, sessions in using their products, sessions in photography, in illustration. And we have this quote here from Angela Arendts, who said, "We're creating a modern day town square where everyone is welcome in a space where the best of Apple comes together to connect with one another, discover a new passion, or take their skill to the next level." So you get the self-improvement story at the experience theatre. And look, that's really interesting. It's because we've bookended this report intentionally with essentially the checkout free retail, where they are making it as attention saving as possible. And then someone like Apple saying, no, look, we're not just trying to get people products and get them out the door, unless that's what they want. If they want to hang around, then we want them to hang around. Okay, again, there are 4 new directions to take this strand of customer experience in the future. So dive into the report for more on making it personal, contextual, and unforgettable. You know, how it's not necessarily about more bells and whistles, but that less fuss can get you more attention, how you should seize with substance, and our 4th opportunity there, questification. So dive into the real report for more on that. A quick reminder, it's unlikely your optimal strategy is to be a saver at every step in the customer journey or a seizer throughout. Some of you might walk a tightrope between these 2 roles. Consider meal subscription kits. Some of them have been struggling as of late, but you have the odd one like Blue Apron that's booming. And, you know, Blue Apron is saving attention. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to work out the portions, but it's also taking up just the right amount of time. You're spending just the right amount of the precious attention you have to prepare the meal and get that sense of self-satisfaction. Another example, Netflix, a hybrid hero. Yes, they've spent, you know, $6 billion, or budgeted, I believe, $6 billion on original entertainment in 2017. So they can seize your attention in the future with their own programming. But of course, they also try and make it as seamless as possible when you want to try a trial, when you want to subscribe, when you want to add additional accounts, when you want to switch from one show to another, or binge watch the same show. You know, they want to save your attention at those moments so you can spend more of it on House of Cards. And I hate to say it, I think House of Cards is a bit overrated. I know I've probably just lost about 100 listeners by saying that. Okay, so just to wrap up, a quick reminder, at every encounter, ask whether you are saving the customer's attention or seizing it. You know, get your colleagues together, plot out your customer journey, and ask that question. And there is more to come. I'm actually already working with our design team to develop a canvas that will help you plot out this customer journey. So make sure you're subscribed. If you want to download the worksheet in a week or 2 when we release it for free, it will help you plot out your own strategy as a brand to help you see where you're falling short in saving attention, where you're already beating expectations in seizing attention. And there's expert interviews with people like the COO and founder of Peloton, and more to come. So, you know, keep your eye on your inbox there. If you want to download the full report, if you're a real nerd, you know, it's It's beautiful. There's more insights. There's more information on every one of the examples. Go online and you can download the full report for free right now. And a quick reminder, premium clients, you get access to our 16 B2C specific looks at the topic. So not only have we created these reports for you as clients, but we're also doing industry specific webinars for you next week. Those of you who aren't clients, I'd urge you to start your free 7-day trial. It's really easy to get set up and take a look at our database, because all of these examples, these innovations are just a handful of the 16,000 innovations and the 100, I believe, 40 plus trends that our clients have access to. So go online, give yourself a quick trial and check it out. So thank you so much. I said at the start and I'll say it again at the end, I really, really do appreciate you spending your precious attention, you know, with me and the TrendWatching family today. This was a lot of work to pull together, but we're very proud of it and we look forward to your feedback. You know, be honest with us. You can shoot me an email directly, max@trendwatching.com. In fact, I might go on LinkedIn right now and set up a post once the webinar recording's done, so that you can ask me, you know, the tough questions, the hard-hitting questions, or shower us with praise as soon as I'm done with this recording. So thanks again. Feel free to email me directly. Hit me up on Twitter or LinkedIn. I really love hearing from you about these reports. So yeah, thanks so much.